If you're looking for the scoop on information about the UBC real estate and mortgage broker exams,
then you have to watch this video. So Melanie, what's the scoop?
well, the scoop for the exams is they have definitely changed. So in the past, UBC tended to focus on certain chapters on the exams. It's normally the ones that students really didn't like. So statement of adjustments and financial statements and a few of the other areas. Law of agency is not a favorite as well for a lot of students.
Some math.
And now they have decided that that's not a good plan to test people's knowledge of the entire course. And so some of the other chapters that were kind of in the background have now been pushed to the forefront, and they've got more of an emphasis on the exam now because they're trying to balance things out.
Oh yeah. They're balancing out things.
Yeah.
And then just to tell you guys, before we used to teach some chapters, it would take us maybe 20-30 minutes to finish complete one chapter.
Yeah.
There's no more of that.
No.
Right? This year UBC expanded the information to the point that our videos now at least an hour.
Hour and a half.
It's crazy. So much information now, right? Because there's so much new legal updates that's happening, right?
Yeah, and there's a more of a focus on like professionalism and ethics and client representation, fiduciary duties, because there's been some bad behavior by some licensees. They're focusing more on contracts. The contracts for real estate chapters have expanded as well, and so they're getting that information. And like Yana said, all of the statute law updates that have been made by our government, they get those into the course and onto the exams pretty fast.
So you do have to read those bulletins. So every time they come up with a bullet, so if you're not a GOBC student, you're working on yourself, then you read the bulletins. If you're GOBC students, you don't have to read nothing.
Yeah, we do that.
We do that for you.
Yeah.
But the point is that, yes, before it used to be more on this, like I used to say to my students, I'm like, just focus on this chapter. That's a huge chapter on the exam. I can't even say that anymore.
No.
Right? Because now it's all of the chapters kind of even out themselves. And there's, as Melanie said, there's a lot of focus on the ethics, on fiduciary duties, contracts, right? They want to make sure that you're more in the practical
every day, like how you're going to actually work with people, right? Your conflicts of interest and that kind of thing, to make sure that people are behaving themselves as licensees once you get past the exam and you get your license.
Okay, now let's talk about the math portion.
Okay, so depends on whether you're taking the real estate course or the mortgage broker course. Mortgage broker tends to have a bit more math on it than the real estate, but these days it's been unpredictable. So in the past, real estate used to have 15 to 20 questions, and mortgage would have 25 to 30-ish or 35 sometimes.
Yeah, so I would always say 80-20. 80% was law, safe. And the 20% was the math, right? And then 70-30 for the mortgage people.
Yeah.
But now it seems like every time people don't like the math, they end up with more math.
They get lots. Yes.
When they love the math, they pretty much end up with not much. So it's very unpredictable.
Yes.
Okay.
Students have had as few as 6 math questions on the exam, and other people have had 35.
Okay.
And that's even for real estate as well, not just mortgage. So it's, again, like if you're taking a computerized exam, it's a random pull of questions from all the question bank, and they do a pretty good job of making sure they cover all the topics. Paper exams are prepared ahead of time, and they do the same thing. They structure the exam to make sure they cover all the topics.
All the topics, yes. And then if your best friend Bob went on the exam on Friday, and then you go in next Monday for your exam, you can't say, oh, Bob, tell me what was in your exam, because they will be completely different questions.
Yes.
There's a big pool of questions, pulls it up, all different versions, right? So every time you come in the room and you think that all of you guys will have the same, no, you all have different exams, right? It's all a different pool, and it's never the same, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of randomized now.
Yes.
Unfortunately. You can't really set, because before it used to be, we could say by the seasons, right? We knew that December exams were harder than exams in September. We could tell you all the things. Now it seems like it's always
the same difficulty.
The same thing.
Yeah.
You still have 100 questions, right? You still have the same passing score. So for real estate, it's 70, mortgages 65.
Yep, it's all multiple choice.
All multiple choice. They all have 4 answers. But let's talk about the type of the questions now. Like, what's the changes now when it comes to the actual question?
Yeah, so in the past, there were the bulk of the exam was the simpler style of questions, definition questions, simple factual questions. and stories, scenarios, but they were
Not too much.
They were not too bad, right? They were pretty short and pretty easy to understand what was going on. Now the shift has been to test an application of the knowledge of the course material, which means a lot more scenario, story questions, the real life stuff. Like Yana was saying, they want to put you in the shoes that you're going to be walking in when you're actually a licensee. So they want you to deal with, the conflicts of interest, the ethics, the client representation, the agency law, fiduciary duties, all that kind of stuff. And they want to test that on the exam in those longer scenario questions.
So lots of story questions.
Yeah.
Still, you're going to have the true and false statements.
Yes.
Right? Those ones will never go.
Yeah.
They always stay on the exam. They love them because they know that people always get confused. So
Yes.
when we teach our students, we always tell them, focus on what they're asking you for.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they do the ABCD questions, which most students do not like when they first start to get them.
They're
because
the
it's a
best.
lot of reading, right? I'm so confused. But they are the best because like Yana said, there's only 4 answer choices. They can only give you 4 combinations of those ABCD. And so you can usually narrow it down to a 50-50 chance by just reading a couple of the statements.
They always give you at least 2 good ones that you definitely can illuminate, right? So when you look at the question, if you know information, of course, right?
Yeah.
Then you know, okay, that one is definitely off, this one is definitely off, right? So you have 2 left, right? And if it's an ABCD question, what do? You go back at the answers, you cross off those ones that you already know that definitely are false ones, and then you look back and see, so what's the option, what's left in here, right?
Yeah.
So it helps you a lot.
Yes.
We love those questions, our students love those questions, so those ones are good to have. Next type is the definition questions. They're still on the exam. You still have to know your definitions for
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Beautiful marks to have.
Yeah.
Right?
There's less of them now, unfortunately, but you still do need to know that information for the ones that you will get.
Okay. Now, can they rely on the UBC questions? So we have the assignments and the practice question that UBC provide them. Because before, I'll tell you before, right? Because we've been teaching you guys for 23 years now. It's been a long time with UBC books. I feel like we can...
We've got a mental connection, I think, at this point.
Yeah, we do. Okay. So the point is, so before people would rely on those questions so much.
Yes.
They say, look, I'll just do 1,000 questions, and out of those 1,000 questions, hopefully a lot of them will show up on the exam, and I'll go and I'll pass it. It used to be like that.
Yeah.
I would say probably 10 years ago, and then they start illuminating them, and then by now it's pretty much, you can practice with them, it's good. If you're the GOBC student, you don't have to worry about those questions because we give you way more to practice with.
Yes.
We give, like 2,000 questions. Yeah, thousands of questions to practice with. But the point is, do not think, or don't rely that this is the question that they gave you will be on the exam.
Yeah.
Okay?
You can't memorize answers to those questions and expect to just go and check. If you think you're going to do that, you might think you're doing really well, but they've changed some things and they're making things tricky for you. So memorizing is just bad. Don't do that.
Okay.
You have to learn.
UBC exam is tricky.
Yeah.
And you need to know those tricks. Like, let's give examples. Let's talk about the wordings, the strong words.
Yeah, so must be, never, none, always. Those are, we call them absolute words. There's no exceptions to them. Generally, for the most part,
Most of the part.
those hint that might be a false answer choice that you're reading.
Yeah, so just by knowing the information itself is just not enough. You kind of have to really work with those questions. You have to know how to read those questions
Yeah.
properly, right? That is the biggest part of the actual exam.
Yeah, it's actually a reading test first, then it's an English test second, and then it's a knowledge test third. And those 3 things combined is what makes it a tough exam.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a UBC style.
Yeah, it's a multiple choice style, really, but it's what you have to tackle for your exam.
The other new change that they have, before they used to give you a question on specific chapter, on specific topic. Now it seems the questions, they can have 3 different chapters,
Yes.
so 3 different topics in the same question. So they actually
They do a good job of testing you on the
Combining
material.
the
Yeah, they
information.
combine. So then the scenario, you'll have multiple topics and stuff from different chapters, and then the answers will even have different
It's
topic
crazy.
answers based on different material from different chapters. So you don't have to be able to remember that, this topic is from chapter 12, Law of Agency. You just need to know what the information is around that topic,
Yeah.
and you'll be fine.
So as a summary, let's summarize that for them, Melanie.
The exams have definitely changed.
They are very tricky.
You need to learn and understand the material. You cannot memorize.
Yeah, and all the questions are a lot of scenario questions. Don't expect too much math if you like math.
Don't skip anything in your course because it's all important, right?
Yeah,
We said
all
it's
the
evened
chapters
out.
now important, right? You can't skip nothing.
And you also need to get into your course if you're studying on your own and make sure that you go through those bulletins that are posted to your course as well to stay on top of all of the changes and the corrections that are made.
Yeah, and if you need any help or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to GOBC.
We're always here to help.
Always.